Well, hey friends, Catherine here. Welcome back to my channel. It is time to get started on a bullet journal for 2020. I have come to the end of the current bullet journal that I'm working on. Coincidentally, it's time to start a new one at the beginning of the year, so that works out perfectly for me. So I thought I would do a video showing you the very beginning of my journal and how I'm setting up a few of my pages. I have lots of other videos showing you different ideas for spreads and ways to use our stamps and our ink and just create gorgeous pages with all of the products that we supply. I've been bullet journaling for a year and a half now, and when I started, I knew right away that we wanted to create a whole line of products that were perfect for stamping and bullet journaling. It's a perfect match. It's a perfect marriage. It's like a match made in heaven. So I don't know if you're like me, but I love everything artistic. So I love ink and paper and stamps and markers and glue. And when I saw how artistic people are in their bullet journals, I know I can't draw like a lot of people out there. And I know there are a lot of people like me. So that is why we have created this whole product line, so that you can have a gorgeous artistic bullet journal without knowing how to draw. So if you are new to the concept of stamping and stamping in your bullet journal, this video, I'm going to share a ton of tips and tricks for you so that you can get started. And if you have been stamping for a while, hopefully you'll learn something new or just gain inspiration from it. Click the links below. I'll have links to playlists and our shop where we have all of our products. We have a monthly club, which I'll talk about in a second. And also, while you're at it, clicking buttons below, make sure you hit that subscribe button so I'll see you again. Let me know if you have any questions, and comment in the section below letting me know something about your 2020 setup. I want to know what you guys are doing and what you're excited about for 2020. So with all of that being said, let's get started. Now, before we dive into the stamping, I wanted to share a couple of these covers with you. This is our adventure Canvo with this gorgeous plaid. And the inside front page is this wood grain with this fun sentiment that is perfect for starting out a new year. I also have a future log there, and I'll show you how to make that in a minute. And then we have our Keep Shining, which has a great snowflake and kind of a snowy scene with this gorgeous skylight blue. And then the inside with that pine cone situation, I love that. And then next up is our Juniper Mist. It's just a really clean and simple cover. And then it has that great colored plaid on the inside. So these three covers are limited edition, and when they're sold out, we won't be restocking them. And these covers can be found at shop.catherinepooler.com. So to start out with, I am going to use this fantastic number stamp set. It's called Milestone Birthday Numbers. It does have a couple sentiments in there that are great for birthday cards, but of course you can use this for all kinds of different uses for large numbers. It also has a set of dies to go with it. So I'm just using my little snips. I got these from a big box store. You can get them on Amazon. Really nice pointed tip, and they're very sharp, and they will just cut apart because the dies come all connected together. So just snip them off, and then be careful because sometimes the edges might be a little bit sharp. That's normal, but it's one of those things that you just have to be careful of. So in case you haven't guessed already, I'm using the 2 and the 0, and I'm going to cut out 2 of each. I'm using my hand crank die cutting machine, and then this sticky tape is kind of like a post-it note, so it's all tacky on the back. So I'm pulling up the 2 and the 0 and the other 2 and 0, and I'm going to the first page of my Canvo bullet journal. And so I'm just pressing them down onto the page. Because they're tacky, they won't really move around. And then these are going to serve as a mask. So I'm using this large Corsage stamp from our Cottage Corsage stamp set, which is fantastic for stamping cards, but you can also use it in your bullet journal. And I'm stamping using my Midnight Black ink pad. Just a note, our Midnight ink is archival, which means it is waterproof, so you can do coloring on top of it with any kind of water-based marker. That color won't move once it's stamped on there, but it does stain your stamp. So just a really light tap so that you don't get that black ink all over the place. So just kind of a public service announcement there. So you can see when I stamp the images right over the mask, then when you pull the mask off, there's no stamping where the mask was. So then I can stamp my letters in Be Mine ink right over where my masks were, and there's no black lines over them. So it looks really cool. I actually showed one of the gals in the office, and she was like, oh my goodness, how did you do that? I said, you're gonna have to watch the video. No, I'm just kidding. I showed her how I did it. So it's an impressive technique. It's really, really cool, and it's super easy and fun to do. You could have stamped your letters first and then put the masks over the top. Either way works. And when using the masking technique, you may want to practice first on scratch paper before you go into your bullet journal, because you have to get the pressure right. You have to push really hard so that the right along the edges of the mask, you make sure you get contact between the stamp and the paper. You can see I took my Le Pen and I just kind of filled in a few spots where I didn't get clean stamping, and no one will ever know. And actually, if they did, this is a Canvo bullet journal, which is just for me. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, and I'm totally fine if I make mistakes and errors in my bullet journal, because it's for me. And then cleaning your stamps is easy. I like to use a baby wipe or just a paper towel that's a little bit damp, and just wipe those off and then put it back in the packaging. As long as they stamp clear on a scratch piece of paper, you know they're clean. So here is my 2020 cover page. I think I may go back and add hello 2020. I think that would be really cute. And we have a stamp set that has hello in a whole bunch of different languages. Actually, I think I might do that for a monthly spread. So sticking a pin in that idea, and I'm going to revisit it. So next up, we are going to use some of the products from our Club Canvo. These products are now in our shop. They shipped out to Club Canvo members right at the beginning of December. So they've had those products all month long and are ready to go for January. You get in the Club Canvo every month, you get a stencil, you get a themed stamp set with all the little bits and pieces that you need to make really cool layouts. And then you also get a stamp set with 3 different hand lettered month words. We also send you an email with inspiration from our ambassadors, so you get all kinds of different ideas on ways to use these products. I'll also include the link below so you can go check out Club Canvo and everything it entails. You're going to love being a member. So the stencil, I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on the stencil, just holding it in place and tracing all of the blocks. There are 12 blocks, so 1 for each month. And then I'm going to grab my funky alphabet stamp set. I'm going to grab one of the 2 long stamps. We have a long block that these fit perfectly on. Just lining it up toward the top, using my midnight ink to stamp it. And then I have something that all of my little letters and icons can hang from. So one of the great things about this stamp set is it has an icon for almost every month. And they are liner, so you can stamp them in black and then color them in, or you could just stamp them straight in color like I did in the picture or the spread that I showed at the very beginning of the video. If you want to see all still pictures of all of these spreads, I'm going to leave the link to my blog post below, and I'll have that other future log spread there as well, so you can take another look at it. But I'm grabbing all of the letters that I need to spell out future log, and then I'm just hanging each one from that line. The smallest square block that we sell in the shop is perfect for each individual letter, and then our large circle was perfect to fit the whole word log on there. So I just lined them up the way I wanted them to be, and I used my block to pick them up in the order and just stamp them right on there. So your blocks are all interchangeable with your stamps, which is really handy, really convenient, and great for saving on space. And then I used 2 of the lanterns and 1 of the hearts, and I just stamped those as well. And then I'm going to just write in each month. So you could leave it as is. You could leave it black and white, which is a really cool look, or maybe you want to add a little color. So I grabbed a blender pen, and if you haven't seen one of these before, it's an absolute must, because then you basically have a marker for every color ink pad you own. So I either take the tip and I dip it onto the top of my ink pad, or I use the lid. If you take the lid when it's closed, like when your ink pad is closed, and you just give a really gentle squeeze, the lid will touch the top of the ink pad and get ink on it. So then you can use it for a little color palette. Another way you could do this is just to take your acrylic block and dab it right on top of the ink pad. You're going to get ink on that block, and then you can use that as a color palette as well. So a lot of different ways you can use that, but just dip your blender pen, just the tip in, grab your color, and then color with it. When you want to change colors, just scribble the tip off on scratch paper and then until it runs clear, and then you'll be able to go into the next color. So it's a pretty nifty thing. So I use Mint to Be, All That Jazz, and Be Mine, which is a super fun and vibrant color palette. And I'm just coloring in every other stripe, coloring in the lanterns and the heart. And since I do my weekly spreads as each week happens, now I have a place where I can go back and write in appointments when I don't have a week set up for them already. And here is a peek again at the one where I just stamped all the little icons in color, and I filled in some of the different months, and I think that looks really cute. Might not be quite as practical because then I don't really have room to write things, although I could just write in black pen over the colored stamped images and it'll be fine. But again, this is such a personal thing to everyone, and you can make it however you want and whatever makes you happy. So next we're going to make the first week of January weekly spread, and I'm going to start out by stamping this big fox. How cute is this? So you can use this just as a page decoration. You can also use it on a card or a scrapbook page. He's so adorable. But if you use it as a tracker, there are 7 sections on the scarf. So whenever you do something, like here I'm doing an exercise tracker, I can fill in and color in one of the sections on the scarf every time I go exercise. And I'm using our Habit Tracker stamp set so that you can have cute fonts and cute handwriting in your bullet journal. So that is also a product in our shop. It was a bonus gift to our Club Canvo subscribers last month, and I think it's going to be really super useful. And if you noticed, I kind of manipulated the stamp a little bit. I curved it on the block so that it would wrap around the bottom of the tail on the fox. It's really cute. And then I'm going to color in the fox. So one word of caution here, with a large image like this that has lots of open space, with a blender pen, because this is not watercolor paper, you want to be careful how wet you get it. So the blender pen is wet. It's a water-based, water and glycerin-based clear marker. And when you run it over the paper repeatedly, it's going to end up starting to pill up your paper, again, because this is not watercolor card stock. So I like to go really quick and maybe get more color around the edges just for some fun shading, and just go really light in the center. And I do go over it several times, but again, just be careful not to go over too many times. If you do get some pilling, again, remember this is your bullet journal and it's just for you. So don't worry too much about it, and you will end up getting the hang of it and how much water you can add, and you'll get better as you go. I still do end up pilling up my paper sometimes. I just try not to worry about it too much. And then next up, I want to do some little lines for my days of the week. So I have this cute little snowflake on a line, and I'm just going to stamp a few of them. How many did I do here? 7. Sometimes I just do 1 for the weekend, and sometimes I do 1 for each day of the weekend, depending on what my mood is. Usually my weekends all revolve around when I need to carpool which child and where. Well, you know what? There's only one child left that needs carpool. So usually my entire weekend schedule is just filled with when she needs to be where and what time. It's very exciting. And then all of our monthly themed Canvo bullet journal stamp sets include inspirational quotes or seasonal quotes, things that are perfect for stamping for the particular time of the year that you're making pages for, or they go with the theme. So I just stamped that up in the corner. And then here is another look at another page that I did with the same stamp set. I used a slightly different color palette. I used Mint to Be and It's a Girl. And then on the next one is Melon Ice and Aquatini. And so you can just get a look at a couple different options for stamping these stamps and creating different looking weekly spreads. So next up, I'm going to create a month at a glance. So this will be for January. And you notice I have little pieces of tape, or that's actually leftover Post-it tape, that Heffy Doodle tape that I use at the beginning to cut the 2 and the 0s out of. I just use a little piece of that to put on the first day and the last day of the month. That is my biggest challenge with these. I'm using the full calendar stencil, which makes it really super easy to create a quick spread for, or a quick grid or monthly layout. Very easy. You don't have to count. You don't have to use a ruler. You just lay it on your paper and trace inside all of the little lines, and boom, I have a month at a glance. But I always get mixed up and have trouble with where the month starts and ends. So I thought, hey, if I use this little piece of tape and put it on the first day and the last day, then I know. And it's probably the very first time I've ever been successful without making any mistakes and drawing extra boxes on a monthly spread. So I just figured out my problem. I just figured out a solution. So I wanted to show you a couple more stamp sets that are really great for bullet journaling. So if you're new to stamping and bullet journaling, these are kind of must-have stamps. So it was Circle This, the Daily Plan, Bullet Journal Basics, and I will have all of everything linked below so you can see it all in the shop. And this is the Bullet Journal Basic stamp set, and this one's brand new. So I just did a slit with my scissors across the top. I like to do that because I think it's really easy just to slide my stamps in and out of the sleeve like that. You could also just turn the stamp set around, and there's like you can just pull the back. I don't know. It's like one of those plastic bags that like you pull the strip off and it has sticky on it, and then you close the bag. So you could just undo that, pull your stamp out, and put it back in. But I like to just do the slit at the top, pull my stamp out, and use it. So I wanted to do all of the days of the week at the bottom. So we have Mon, Tu, Wed, and so on. And most of the time you'll see these at the top, but I thought I would do a little twist here and do them at the bottom. And so I'll just add those to the clear acrylic block, stamp them, clean them, put them back on the imaging sheet, and I'm all set. I'm going to do my hand letter January across the top, and then I'm going to fill in a few of the dates that I know I have things going on, like an airplane trip, a birthday, New Year's Eve, girls' night out. Has all the little fun images that you need for different occasions that you might want to decorate your spreads with. So it's really fun. And then just some snowflakes. I don't know why. I'm a sucker for pink snowflakes. You know what? I think I do know why. My birthday is in January, and I always associate my birthday with the color pink. And since it snows in January, pink snowflakes. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Am I right? So here is another stencil that is a must-have. It's on my list, and it has these fun different little boxes and stuff that you're going to use for all sorts of different things, including the little bullets for your to-do list. And then it has this tall skinny box that covers about half of a page from top to bottom with lines. So it's perfect for to-do lists. I created a spread back in November, I think, on one of my Facebook Lives, or I don't know, maybe it was a YouTube Live. I think it was a Facebook Live. But in any case, I created it with a December theme. And I thought it would be fun to use it as an exercise tracker. So every time I went to the gym, I'd write down the date and what I did. And there are 19 lines on this to-do list. I didn't quite make it, but I tried. There's always next year, right? So let's take a peek at what we have so far. We have the introduction page for 2020 with the masking technique and the Cottage Corsage stamp set. We have the future log, which is always a great page to start out with so that you can keep track of appointments and important dates all in one place. And then we use the full calendar stencil to create a month at a glance for January. And we're going to use that again to create our month at a glance for February. I know we're working a little bit ahead, but our Club Canvo subscribers are going to receive this at the beginning of January. We always send our subscribers the following month, almost a month ahead, so that they are ready and prepared for their next month's theme. So this is February. I use the full calendar stencil, did my boxes already, added my numbers, and I'm using that Heffy Doodle masking tape again, and I'm just masking off where the calendar is. And then I'm using these heart stamps. This comes in the February Club Canvo shipment, and I'm using Flirty Fuchsia ink. So I'm using the stamping off or second generation stamping technique for this spread, and I'm doing Flirty Fuchsia and I'm stamping it twice. So every time you stamp without re-inking, you're going to get a lighter shade of the same color, so it just gives you more bang for your buck with every ink color that you own. Just a quick rub on a damp paper towel is all you need to wash your stamps, and then I'm ready to go into the next color, which was Be Mine. And then to finish this off, I thought it would be really cute to add cherries. This is in the main stamp set that Club Canvo subscribers will receive for their February shipment. Actually, it goes out in January, but it's all the stuff they need for their February spreads. Now right here, I'm moving the cherry down to the very edge of my block. That gives me some room so that I can stamp really close to the spiral. If you leave your stamp in the middle of your block, you don't have quite as much room and that spiral binding gets in the way. So edges of the block for the stamp and you're gonna be golden. And so just a little bit more for the masking technique, I grabbed an ink blending brush. This is called a life-changing brush. These are in the shop as well. And I'm just dabbing it on my Sweet 16 ink, which is a really super light purple with a little tinge of pink there. And I'm just gently rubbing it or ink blending right along the edge of my mask. So it's going to give me a really light shade of Sweet 16 all the way around my calendar, which I think is a really cool look. And then I'll just peel back that masking tape to reveal the really fun border that I just created with the stamps and the life-changing brushes. After I finished, I decided I wanted there was that little bit of white there, and I wanted to, it looked a little stark to me, so I just added my masking tape back on and just did a little bit more ink blending there, a little bit more stamping. You can see it revealed like a half of a heart, so I just stamped that again, and you could never tell what it looked like before. So, and again, Canvo bullet journaling is just for you. So if you could tell, you're the only one that knows, and this is for you anyway. So this is really fun to create, and I had a great time doing it. And so that's all that matters. Okay, so for this part of the video, we're actually going back in time a little bit because you can see that February spread is not finished yet. So I just put these in reverse order and it's fine. But this stencil right here is called Weekly 1. This is a Club Canvo product that's coming out, and it is really super easy to use for creating weekly task lists and weekly calendars. So there's 4. So if you do 4 on each page, you have every day of the week, plus 1 for anything special. Maybe you want to do notes or special events or goals in that extra box. Or maybe you just do 4 on one side and 3 on the other. But in any case, any way you use it, you're going to see it's really super easy to create spreads with this Weekly 1 stencil. So for this one, I'm going to do movies and books, trips, YouTube videos. I had a little bit of trouble writing YouTube there. And then some meal planning. And I'm just doing a really simple heart on the right there. And then I decided it would be fun to add a little cherry to each heart. And I thought that was enough dressing up for that, and I was moving on to a weekly spread. So all of the little images you see here, all these boxes were built from pieces in the stamp set that comes out for February's Club Canvo, and I just created a box for each day of the week. And then I grabbed my calendar and boxes stencil, and I'm just writing in the days of February, just all the numbers, and it's a really quick and easy way to create a calendar at a glance. And then I'm just going to move it up and do my Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I forgot to do it at first. The hand lettered February there is also another Canvo set. And again, if you haven't subscribed to Club Canvo, information will be below so you can join us. And then I'm going to use the Weekly 1 stencil and just use parts of the box and create my own shaped box. It's pretty easy to do that. Sorry, I cut off the right side here, but here I'm zooming back out so you can see. And then I have a big box for notes. So there, my 2020 Canvo bullet journal set up. A little bit of January, a little bit of February, a future log. I hope you found some inspiration in this video. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, I invite you to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.